Hello, the name is Mark, and I just want to do another quick little video here. And basically, it's going to go like this. We live in a mess, right? The world's a mess right now. You look at it, and everything is just batshit crazy, and it's a mess. And effectively, they might call that the message, the mess age. You have two words in message, and yet one is word, one is mess, and the other one is age. So effectively, we do live, regarding this message, right? We live in an age of the mess. So I keep hearing these people saying, well, it's human nature and people are cat shit crazy to begin with. And, violence is part of human nature and stuff. And I'm going to tell you something, people. Violence is not a part of human nature unless it's taught. Same with love. If you teach love, chances are a child will grow up lovingly. If you teach hate, chances are the child will grow up hateful. That's just the way things are. So your natural state, we're going to get back to, we'll probably call this video the message in the baby, okay? Now, people say, violence is part of human nature, this is part of human nature, that's part of human nature, screwing people over is part of human nature. And they say it so that it's almost acceptable that we just accept this. It's not acceptable, and it's totally unacceptable, and here's why, okay? We live in the age of the message, and what would you do to convey a message? You would probably write a message, right? Well, that would be called writing, and we'll run around, we'll confuse people, we'll give them a gospel, a gospel. Now, we send our children to school to learn how to spell, but maybe they're getting put in a spell, because if you look up spell, it equals a curse. That's what a spell is. It's called a curse. So we hand them a gospel, we confuse them. One day, God loves you, but at the same time, don't you mess up, because God is a vindictive boss and God will strike you down. So again, we're back to a spell, right? How am I supposed to love something that if I get out of line is going to strike me down with a thunderbolt or something? It's just sheer preposterous bullshit. So effectively, in a nutshell, it goes like this. A baby is born. A baby knows nothing about the education system. A baby knows nothing about a Bible, Allah, Buddha. The baby knows nothing about government, politics. The baby is raised lovingly in a tribe. The baby is taught how to fish, hunt, sew, forage, stuff like that. Now, does this child honestly need to know anything outside of that? Not really. Everything else is useless knowledge. Your government is useless knowledge. Whether Adam and Eve, not Adam and Eve, but the Bible is preposterous. All these books are preposterous. School is preposterous. And the child grows up, and the child knows none of this stuff whatsoever, grows up in a healthy environment, learns how to hunt, fish, forage, feed itself, feed the tribe, whatnot. Would any other knowledge have an impact on that child's life? Not an ounce. So the reason why I'm doing this video, people, is because people keep saying, it's human nature. People have a tendency to want to abuse people and stuff. People, that is all learned behaviors. And getting back to the child in the jungle or in the forest, the child knows nothing about Allah, nothing about Buddha, knows nothing about whether this official is called the Prime Minister or, the President, it's all useless information. And that's why, just look at the word, mess age. We live in the age of the mess, and it's all because people babble. And even back to babbling, right? Get out of Babylon, my people, unless you want to partake in her sins. They're not small words. And here's the thing. People say, well, we need names to identify people. Why do you even need names? People, the child, again, is back in the jungle or the forest. The child is raised. Anybody who wants to see the child would know, obviously, who the parents are of that child. They wouldn't even need a name for the child. We don't need language at all, and you just add a D and you have a land gauge, a gauge on the land. We need none of this stuff, people. It's all there to confuse you. And if you people literally stop paying attention to, say, like a gospel, a gospel, they run around and they fight over this book and whether some fictional character came to the earth or not and died for your sins. People, I've heard some good bullshit in my time. There's a lot of truth in that book, but it's woven with a lot of mistruths. So anything but the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God, is bullshit. And you just don't need it. The child doesn't need this stuff. It doesn't need to know the gospel. It doesn't need to know the education system, who the prime minister is. This child would grow up and would totally be A-okay. You wouldn't even need a name. Like somebody had said to me, well, if the child didn't have a name, how would they identify it? They would identify the child because they would look at the child and go, oh my God, that's Bill and Sue's boy or something. It's just that simple. And last names, you take the S out of surname and you have you are name. You cannot be a name. You are this. Like, you can't live at an address. Do you add dresses? Do you wear dresses? No, you live in your body. That's where you reside, okay, people? I am that I am. You are you. We are that we are. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. It's like me. I do electrical, but does that make me an electrician? This is an electrician? Impossible, people. I do electrical. I play guitar. Does that make me a guitar player? No. Again, I am that I am. Whatever it is at that moment in time that I decide to do, that's what I am. So I just want to espouse this, people. Get out of the mess age and stop paying attention. When I say pay, I mean pay. You're paying attention for that cell phone. You're paying attention for that Hollywood movie. You're paying attention for music that makes you all emotional. And that's something else we should talk about, emotions. Emotions are feelings and they come from thoughts. A logical mind doesn't get all cat shit emotional. The logical mind would go, okay, I see this person is trying to make me mad, so rather than me get emotional, I just say, listen, I see that clearly, you're trying to make me mad, evidently, and I'm not going to have any part of that. Thank you, now have a good day. I bid you a good day. That's simple. People, get out of the mess. You don't have to pay attention and stop paying attention. We don't have to pay for phones. We don't have to pay for this. We don't have to pay for food. The Creator has given us dominion over things, not ownership, keywords, dominion, and we have rule over this rock. And I suggest we govern ourselves accordingly and get back to foraging and feeding and catching fish and learning how to sew and how to build. And what did you ever learn in school? Oh, the globe is round and 2 + 2 is 4. It's all useless shit. Just like Jesus is coming to save you, useless shit, you know. All of this, it's all useless, people. But you know, they call it cursive writing, right? A spell equals a curse, and then you go to school to learn cursive writing. You have to have rocks in your head. Then at the end of the day, they might offer you a death sentence, all with the stroke of a pen. So anyhow, people, I'm going to shorten this up. I'm just a babbling, blithering idiot, but effectively it's this. A newborn child is born. It's out in the woods. It's out in the wilderness, out in the forest, the jungle, whatever, doesn't matter. And if that child is raised lovingly and that child is taught how to hunt and fish, does God mean anything to this child? No. Is it important to this child? No. Is government politics important to this child? No. So people, stop paying attention. And the minute you stop paying attention, people say, oh, well, we can't change the world, and I'm just one guy, and what can I do? Well, that's what the whole parable, you able to speak at par about Jesus Christ was, is that one person, one individual, one guy, forget all these titles again, you know, it's all bullshit, that one person could change the world. And by that, you just have to stop paying attention. The minute you don't vote for fraudulent fraudsters in government or whatever, you're free. And isn't what's more important, right? Hunting, foraging, loving your child, hugging your spouse, visiting with your grandkids, you know, that stuff is more important than watching some garbage ass news on politics, watching who's ripping off who's better than who has a bigger house than who has a bigger penis than who's got bigger tits. The whole thing is preposterous. Society has to get out of the message, hence the mess age. And we can clearly do this by stop paying attention. All these words, like people will say, oh, well, you have the left wing, the right wing, they're Democrats, they're Republicans. People, it's all a pile of shit. It's all you have to know. And once you know that it's a pile of shit, then you're free. Then you stop voting. Then you stop watching TV. You go plant a little garden somewhere. You go do something, go for a walk with your spouse, your cat, your dog. Whatever. Get out there and start living life and get away from all this bullshit of, well, this is this and that is that. People, the child doesn't need no names. People would know in the village clearly that's Bill's daughter or Bill's boy. they would know, they could see. You know, they could say, hey, to Bill's boy, you hungry? All they got to do is go like this. It's a universal language, people. You want something to drink? Oh, here you go. Yeah, you know what I mean, people? We don't need words. And if you take the S out of sword, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And you take the S out of sword, and what do you have? Word. So now it's a fight with words. It's a sword fight with words. And that's why they call it a spell, which equals a curse. And then you're indoctrinating your kids by teaching them how to spell, and then teaching them cursive writing. And they were told not to curse, enhance, and swear. That's why they're called exams. You are not supposed to be exam. You are supposed to be proper. You are. You just are. You am. You follow me, people? Okay. You don't take these exams at school. You don't take, you know, all these words, people. Just stop paying attention. You know, you don't like Walmart, just stop shopping at Walmart. You don't like what the government's doing, you just stop supporting these people. You don't have to do nothing. That's how simple the world can change. You don't even have to do nothing. You don't like politics, don't vote. You don't like this, hey, whatever, you know. If everybody stopped paying their mortgage tomorrow, everybody could get on with their lives. Why are people paying mortgages? I'll tell you why. Out of fear, right? And where does fear come from? You take the F out of fear and you have ear, maybe ears, and people are putting little spells in your ears with their curses, their little cursive writings and stuff. So anyhow, people, you don't need names, you don't need surnames. You are not a name, you are this in the flesh. Whatever that is, you change by the second, the minute, daily. I am not the same person I was yesterday that I am now. 5 years ago, I wasn't the same guy that I am now. I'm changed daily. So get out of all this nonsense and that makes you feel emotional, and take the M out of music, and what do you have? You sick. So it's an industry, industrial, with their music, their music industry. And same with Hollywood. Hollywood stems from the Hollywood tree. It was a tree used for witchcraft. Like, people, you know, I can't make this shit up. So keep shit simple. Stop paying attention. Get out of the spell. Stop listening to it. It doesn't matter who's coming to save you, who shows up on a raft, or what this is for, or what that's for. The bottom line is we have to keep things simple. Get back to the Garden of Eden, and then there's no thinking. You have two words in thinking, thin and king. So if you're thinking all the time, you think you're going to be happy. Obviously, you're very thin. You're not as king asking. You're a thin king, right? And it's all just bullshit, people. So anyhow, I'm going to espouse this. I'm going to leave this at that. People being mean to each other and stuff is not human nature. That is all a learned nature. It's a learned behavior. And the minute we get away from that, we stop paying attention, literally, with our money, for our TVs, for our internet, for our cell phones, for our gas, for everything that the Creator has given us for free. We say no and we want to pay. We can change that, people, and it's called just stop paying attention. Stop your votes. Stop reading these books of nonsensical bullshit. If the child was born and never knew about Allah, God, Krishna, Buddha, whatever, do you think that child would give a shit? Eventually the child would sit there in its own amazement and wonderment as it would get older and start going, hey, wait a second, maybe there's a thing called the Creator out there, which is absolutely fine, but the child is left up to its own devices to do this. And that's why we live in a whole society of brainwashing bullshit, you know, wash, rinse, repeat, wash, rinse, repeat, you know, shop, 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 go to work, go to work, go to work, shop, 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 go to work, go to work, go to work, consume, 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 go to work, shop, chase your tail, chase your tail, chase your tail. It grows old, people. There's no reason to be chasing our tails, and if we all stop paying attention, and I mean paying with money, and paying attention to these spells and these words and all that shit, it's nonsense. I had a great conversation with my buddy out in the front deck the other day. We didn't say a goddamn word to each other. It was a peaceful conversation. We were both at peace. We didn't have to talk about bullshit. We didn't have to talk about politics. Why? Because it's a waste of time. Who even wants to waste their time on it? I don't even want to waste my time talking about these riffraff now, for God's sakes, you know? You follow me? You savvy? So anyhow, people, as usual, I'm a blithering fool. I'm going to stop this. I haven't put out videos in a while, so I thought, you know, it's time we put one out. And, like, you know, just people get out of this mindset, oh, well, it's human nature to screw people. It's human nature to... No, people, it's not human nature. It is a program nature. And I mean, obviously, the baby is born. Is the baby born with hate? The baby's born with a goo goo gaga. Does the baby know how to write sentences? No. Does the baby care how to write sentences? No. Does the baby care how to apply for a job? No. The baby does not care, people. All the child wants is to be nurtured, loved, and to suck on a tit. That's it. That's how life is supposed to be. And unfortunately, we said no thanks to the creator's tit. We said we want to pay for it, you know. And then too, we want to deal with thinking all the time. Be a thin king. Oh, I got to meet this deadline. Look at the words, people. Deadline. You want to be dead, right? Time. It's a man-made fictitious construct. You know what I mean? Time truly doesn't exist, people. When the sun comes up is when the plants start to do what they have to do. They know, and in that moment, everything's in the moment. Everything's not in control of anything. And just like the baby doesn't want to be in control of anything. The baby just wants to learn, grow, you know, trip, crawl, learn. That's it. So once again, stop paying attention. Get out of the message, the mess age. You don't need all these crazy, well, I'm right and you're wrong, and all whether these people disagree on whether Trump's a good advisor or political president or not. Honestly, people, who gives a shit? Go give a tree a hug first. Take your child for a walk. Take your dog for a walk. Anyhow, till then, I send everybody all green lights. I love you all. I don't care who the hell you are. I pretty much love everybody. I really don't give a shit. I just like people. And, you know, so hopefully, you know, if this message changes one person's world, well, hey, so be it. And awesome. That's all I can do. Anyhow, I love you all. Peace, love, respect, always. Cheers, namaste, shalom, bye. Peace.